You might be a teen librarian if
you read a book during the Super Bowl.
That's probably going to be me.
Yeah, the Colts aren't playing. Hi, and thanks for joining us for another episode of Q&A the Librarian Way. I am Julia from Sunbeam Yellow.
And I'm Emily from the Gnoming Librarian.
And in this episode, we're going to talk about making the most of your student volunteers and workers. You know, students are so great to have, whether you're in a school or a public library, and most of the time they're pretty enthusiastic about helping, but they also need some guidance, and it's nice to know ahead of time your plan in working with them. So here we go.
I have teens coming into the library all the time asking to volunteer, which is wonderful, but an important thing to do as those teens are coming in is to find out why they're there so that you can match the right task to the right teen. You don't want to drive them away by giving them a boring task, but if a teen comes in needing community service hours for, say, National Honor Society, it's okay to give them some of those other jobs that maybe aren't as fun to really show them what the library is all about and how all of these are a part of the job, like book cleaning and shelf reading, which, let's face it, aren't the most enjoyable tasks in the world. For those other kids that just want to be in the library, try to find those jobs that'll keep them engaged, give them ownership of what they're doing, and showing them that it's fun to be in the library, not scaring them off.
Across the board, whether you're in a school or a public library, there are certain tasks that students are just really great at helping you with. So it's good to know ahead of time what kinds of tasks you want students to work on, like shelving materials. That's something that has to be done every day and can be so time consuming. So have your students do it. Making book displays. That's something that can take us a while to figure out, but students love to have that creative option. But don't forget to also give them the opportunity to do some of those tasks that might be on your plate. A task that you might have an adult assistant do, like processing books, getting books ready, to cover, to go out on the shelf. Those are tasks that I generally give an adult to do, but my students love to be a part of that. They love stamping and labeling new magazines and some of those things. So don't forget to consider your students in those. It's also important, though, that you don't create a task for students. If you don't have something for your students to do, that's okay. If you're trying to create something for them off the top of your head, let's be honest, you're just going to end up redoing it. So definitely take some time to think about what you want them to do and make that a scheduled routine, but don't create anything.
As I have been building my teen program at the library, my new philosophy has become for teens by teens. I want other teens to see my teens that are there every day engaged and taking ownership in what they're doing. So we try to have them involved in just about every aspect of the teen room, including programming. So groups like our Teen Advisory Board, we have them plan programs, prepare for programs, host programs. All teens host our clubs. So there's not a librarian-run teen club at my library. So for Manga Club, we have a teen who comes in, puts together an outline, and hosts the club. We're there to mentor when needed, but we want them to be the face of the library. So as you start to build your teen volunteer corps, find those opportunities like programming that really puts them out front, not only in the library, but in the community as well.
When students help me in the library, it's usually because they are wanting to be a part of the library. They love the environment, they love being in here, and so they just want to be a part of my staff. So I love making the students feel like they're part of my staff, giving them specific responsibilities that are just for them. Every day, each period student has a different daily task that they're responsible for that is separate from everyone else's. So the student that's responsible for getting the newspaper in the morning, that's just his role, and he takes ownership in that and really appreciates that. I've also made name cards for all of my students, and they each have a special section of the library that they're responsible for shelving materials. So every day they find their name card and they find any books behind that shows them that they have books to put away, and they really appreciate that. They appreciate having a special section of their library just for them, because even though they're not paid staff, sometimes they're working just as hard as paid staff, and it's good to recognize that. So allow students to have some sort of ownership in your library.
So those are some ideas for how to make the most of your teen student workers and volunteers. One thing that's also really important is immediate feedback. Teens need a little more attention as you're giving them these jobs. And as they're doing something not correctly or even correctly, make sure that you're giving them that immediate feedback so they know exactly what you're looking for and they're getting recognized for their work.
And don't forget to recognize your students, especially in a positive way. I love taking photos of my students and placing them throughout different parts of the library. We love to have little contests with our students, just fun ways to recognize the work that they do and that they really are a part of your staff. So we hope you have enjoyed this video, and I will be back next week with a short video where I'm answering the question that Emily asked me last week. And so stay tuned for that to see my answer, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Bye. Don't forget to leave your questions down below.
Yep.
See you next week. Hey Julia, who you checking out?
I'm checking out Dimitri in Last Sacrifice, the last Vampire Academy book, because I just don't want to let him go. I love this series so much. Emily, who are you checking out?
I'm checking out Greg Gaines and Me and Earl and the Dying Girl by Jesse Andrews. I am loving this book. It's funny, it's thoughtful, and it's just a hoot. Written part in movie script format and part in prose, so a lot of fun. See you next week.
Bye.